this passion with actually making money from it, easy to get boxed into the specific thing that you do?
It's hard, but at the same time, I think in my case it feels more related because many people actually transition from script supervisor to director. And I think it has to do with how close I actually am with the director on set. But it's still hard to convince people like, hey, I can also direct.
How do you overcome those strict lines? And how do you find time to invest in personal work?
I want to go start writing director. I have to sit down and write. You know, it comes down to that. Just make it and then show it to somebody and then, you know, let it go from there.
So I have a tendency to just pick up a lot of side projects that allow me to edit and go about it that way. I mean, because it's a difficult jump. So I think the best way for me that I've been able to do it is just to continue finding projects on the side, like pilots or shorts or whatever I can, and edit that.
We're encouraged to network, to connect to like-minded individuals that we want to work with, but we're in an industry that's inherently hierarchical. What do you think we can do to democratize that process?
Take the time to just know someone and value them before you start requesting things from them. You know, and it's perfectly fine to show some confidence.
The relationships you create with the people that surrounds you. So that's what started in school. And I still work with a lot of people that I studied with, which it's kind of nice to grow with your friends. And I didn't know anybody in the US. So it just started from there, and it takes some time, but the network, it kind of expands pretty fast.
Anyone else who's not unionized, can you speak to how you have stuck up for yourself and figured out what you should be demanding?
Works for me is because many people don't realize is that script supervisor is actually head of department. So what I do now is to actually ask them like, well, whatever you're paying your key grip, your gaffer, and your art director, that's the rate I should be.
I just finished a project this week that was supposed to be about a month, and it was 1 day shy of 6 months. So yeah, so that was not awesome. And that did end up having a discussion somewhere in the middle of it where I said, we need to talk about this. Because they also started putting things on me that were not my job. And I think as part of not understanding fully what my job is, they started giving me a lot of graphics work to do. And I don't do graphics work. It's not part of my job. So we had a discussion at some point about how I would not do that and would probably require more money because it went so far past what it ended up being.
I think it's a really important thing that people need to start like putting down and saying like, this is when I'm done.
Going back to this crazy culture we live in where we're working 18 hours a day, but getting paid 12. You get angry and you don't want to work with that person anymore. And then, you know, you just clash. So you have to figure out how to get through the next 2 months. So having those kind of difficult conversations, but I mean, again, going back, if you want to move up, you got to be able to be okay with having an adult conversation with an adult, explaining to them like what we typically do.
In the light of the pandemic, there is all this time. So you have all this time. If you're, you know, creative, you should be able to act on it. But so many people are having a hard time acting on it because there's a lot of real world things going on. I want to hear overall how everyone's experience has been. Have you been able to be creative?
The first thing I did was to try to keep like being so productive as I could be. So I started to like take more courses, better myself in script supervising, upgrading my kit and all of that. And then I realized that I didn't need to be that productive. Like I also needed time for me to like take care of my mental health and have some downtime and finally enjoy it.
2 or 3 months where I wasn't working. So I was pretty much trying to do anything but edit because I spend so much time doing that anyway. So I have done every arts and crafts thing I could possibly find in my house.
I know my neighbors too well. They like to stomp a lot.
Everything's kind of going VR and AR, and that's kind of where I've been taking a lot of time to develop in AR and VR and being able to do the pre-production stages so I can move out of my role and then jump into another role.
Okay, can you talk about your first job breaking in and how you were able to spin that into an eventual career?
It's just time, hard work, and commitment, and just like having that little of luck.
PA'd on some shorts and some, you know, indie features, you know, doing all the crappy work and, you know, what PAs are known to do. And noticing, wanted to move into G&E really quickly. I just like what they were doing, and it seemed a lot more fascinating, interesting.
Me as a director, it was really good because I was able to actually shoot shorts, student shorts that would start building my director's reel. And I don't think I would have had access to those resources if I wasn't in film school.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you weighing in and being part of this conversation. It's been really helpful and informative for a lot of people. So, and thank you for everyone who was tuning in.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah,
Thank you.
Hope I was helpful.
This was great. Thank you.
Best of luck, everyone.
you too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Take care.
Good one.